All right, guys, so check it out. Good client, Andrew, drove all the way down from Utah. And this has been a long time coming. He probably ordered his parts a couple of months ago, but he planned for Thanksgiving holiday to come visit family in our area. So it was the perfect time for him to just plan it out so that we could do the installation for him, because he does not know of a place he can, trust out in Utah. So he came down. This is a Model 3 Performance. He already has 19 9.5 plus 35 offset Koenigs with 5mm spacers, which is very smart because there are occasions where the back spacing on this setup on the Performance with Performance stock rotors will rub the knuckle under hard cornering or going lock to lock. So we spaced them out, but one of the things I wanted to point out to you guys is a lot of people think that by going downsizing in wheel diameter that it will make the vehicle look lower, and I got to tell you that when you make a wheel more flush to the fender, it pronounces the gap. So although the height hasn't changed, it does give the appearance that the vehicle has been raised. So that will happen for a lot of you guys who have OEM 20-inch wheels and you space them out to the fender, and then you're like, what the heck happened? Why does my, car look like it's been lifted? And well, that's why, because when this wheel is sunken in, you don't see the gap as much because it's recessed and it has this gap, so you don't notice it. But as soon as this comes out to the fender, this distance here, this gap becomes a lot more noticeable. So let's get this thing in the shop. Let's lower it. We'll show you guys exactly what is getting put on the car, and then we'll show you guys what it looks like after it's all done. Let's go. All right, guys, so I just noticed he's got 26,475 miles on this. And because it's, well, over 25,000 miles, what's the number one thing we do when we pop the wheels off the car? We check his lower control arm bushings up front. So if you guys aren't aware of it, these cars are just terrible when it comes to front lower control arm bushings. They always tend to crack, start wearing out. If you guys have inside tire wear up in the front, a lot of it can be attributed to just poor alignment. So you might have bad toe values, but in addition to that, it could be bad bushings. And when that happens, even though you get a good alignment and the wheels are pointed in the right direction, as soon as you start driving, if there's a lot of deflection in the bushings, they'll just toe out and they'll spread and you'll have inside tire wear. And you'll constantly wonder, why is this happening? So we're gonna take a look at those things. We're gonna get this thing up in the air. We'll show you guys the condition of them. And oh, let's see what he's getting on the car. So this is what he drove down to get. This is the ZEV lowering spring package. So he's got the iBox springs, the MPP camber arms, of course, in black, so stealth black, and the Tane Endura Pro Plus adjustable shocks. We're gonna get these things on the car. We're gonna lower it, so check it out. He does have a 3-finger gap right here. All right, and then in the back, let's show you guys again, a little more than 3 fingers, okay? In the back, 3 fingers up, slightly lower in the back than the front. That could be attributed to negative camber. So once this gets corrected, it should level it out. We're gonna get these things on the car. I'm gonna show you guys the results afterwards, and we'll also show you guys those bushings. Let's go. All right, guys, so check it out. Look at his bushings. His compliance bushings actually look fine. His laterals are just starting to show signs of like stretching, potential cracking coming on board. But because he traveled so far from Utah, he's made the decision to go ahead and just replace all of these bushings. So we're going to get the MPP front lower control arm bearings in there. We're going to get the white line poly bushings in the back on the compliance arms. But yeah, get in here, check it out. I'll show you guys exactly what's going on. But in here, you can see towards the center, you can see the dark rubber. This is where it's going to start stretching out. And then on the exterior over here, you can also see that it's going to start cracking right here. And then stay right there. I'm going to show you guys what will ultimately happen. So check this out. Granted, this is after several miles. This is the extreme case, but this is what exactly happens. So this whole thing just rips, slides out. It's pretty insane. A lot of people are like, oh, but it's not making any noise. You know, I don't think I have any problems. I'm like, you know, that's the thing. It won't make noise. And what we do is we want to do this as a preventative measure thing. So I do implore you guys, just inspect your bushings every time you do a tire rotation. Rotate your tires every 5,000 miles. If you can rotate them, if you cannot rotate them, you should still inspect your bushings. So replacing the compliance bushings with these polyurethanes, okay? They are offset bushings, but we will set them to factory position. We do not need to make a race car out of this thing. And then this is the Epic MPP front lower control arm bearings. I got to say, this is probably the best product that they've made. I got to tell you, this thing is a game changer for your steering response, your tire wear, just overall enjoyment of the vehicle. Crazy enough, it actually reduces your cost of ownership in the long run, because at least on our vehicles, we've never had a failure. So it's just insane. I'm talking like multiple track days, 100,000 miles, no issues. Look at this stuff. This is just a beautiful piece of art. And then it also comes with these sleeves. So this helps keep the bolts centered so they don't jiggle, just like that. Talk about very, very well thought out. All right, guys, let's go. Let's get these things in the car. We're going to press them into the arms, get all the suspension back in, and finish this baby up. Okay, so we noticed something else that you guys will want to keep in mind. He bought this from a major online retailer, and he got some hub rings provided by them, so that's nice of them. The problem is that these hub rings are not compatible with an OEM Model 3 Performance rotor because we have a stepped hub. Now, the Model 3 Performance actually has a thinner rotor hat than like a long range or a base model or even a Model Y. And for that reason, you actually need a notch in here in order for this to work. And thankfully, Aspira actually produces the correct hub rings. We discovered this during COVID, but you can see how Aspira has manufactured an actual notch in there so that this thing can sit flush and flat against the rotor hub surface. Now, another thing we noticed, and I do not believe that this online retailer intentionally provided these with the wheels, but this client may have actually purchased these because he is running a 5mm spacer. So he bought some shanked spline drive cone seat lug nuts in an effort to, give him a little more thread engagement. Now, we don't need that on the Model 3 Performance with the stock rotor because of that thinner rotor hat. We actually have more threads already on it. So the thing is that the outer diameter of this shank is bigger than the inner diameter of the wheel. So this will not actually sit flat all the way down. The cone seat isn't even touching. Look at this. There's actually no contact here. There's no frictional surface there. So yes, it was kind of lug-centric, but these things were not fully seated. So again, thankfully, Aspira just came out with their own spline drive lug nuts. And as you can see, this lug nut is actually almost just like those, except it does not have the shank. So check this out. All right, so now this is going to work in here, and it will fully seat against the wheel. So this will fully seat in there all the way down. So those of you who are adding some spacers to it, I wouldn't overthink that shank, and if you do, you need to measure. Take a measurement or look at the manufacturer specs for the outer diameter of the shank, and then talk to your wheel manufacturer to find out what the inner diameter is of the hole in the wheel for the stud, because it's very important that you guys match that up. Otherwise, you will not get correct thread engagement. All right, so let's get the wheels back on the car, get these bushings pushed in, and finish up the job. All right, guys, car's all done. He got about a 20mm drop on a Performance Model 3. As you can see here, he's got just a little more than 2 fingers. The springs will settle, probably a good 1/2 inch, when it's all said and done. In the rear, you can see here, camber corrected, same. It's actually perfectly symmetrical. He's at 370mm from the center of the hub to the fender, front and back. From the factory, it's at 390mm. We're gonna go ahead and pull this car out. But yeah, we fixed everything. He got his lug nuts. We put the Aspira hub rings on there, so everything is proper now. We upgraded his lower control arm bushings with bearings and a polyurethane bushing. Got his rear camber arm in, his shocks, springs. So hopefully now his ride back home with his kids is going to be a lot more comfortable going to Utah. All right, let's give this thing back to the client. And hey, if you guys want any of these products, we'll put links in the description below. We do have sales running during various times of the year, like right now. So yeah, check it out and please support us. Thanks. We'll see you on the next one.